I've been thinking a lot about masculinity recently, obviously doing a show about Dad and I, which became a show about men and their dads and the difficulty that we have in communicating in general, not just men, but I think particularly men and their dads, they find it difficult to open up to one another. Men in general find it difficult to show emotions other than rage and joy in some situations, and lust, I suppose, and that's about it, which isn't particularly healthy. So I've been thinking about that and was invited to perform the show and to speak on a couple of panels as part of Being a Man Festival, which is this fantastic celebration of and exploration of modern masculinity at the Southbank Centre. And it's wonderful, challenging weekend that was, difficult at times, very difficult conversations, but it's quite a new thing that we're talking about and exploring, and I think some people don't think it's very helpful. Some people think that perhaps exploring masculinity is something that happens in opposition to feminism, but of course it isn't. It's a shared project. I firmly believe this. If we broaden the range of emotions available to men and we give them permission to feel other things and to be more emotionally available and nuanced, then we produce men that don't kill themselves so much, do better at school, are able to love. They won't be violent against women, and they won't oppress people, and they won't be homophobes, and they'll love themselves. As well as being on some panels and performing the show over the weekend, I did a handful of PR things for the Southbank Centre in the lead up to the festival, which included going on BBC Radio 5 Live to talk about being a man and to talk about the festival and the programme of events, and to take questions from listeners and texts and emails and that sort of thing. It was another tricky one. Lots of people saying, why do we need a festival about masculinity? Masculinity is fine, thank you very much. I am fine, thank you very much. In my shed in Oldham, says Rob, or whoever it might have been. And you can't really say, you see, sir, in saying that you've entirely proved why we do need the festival, because that's condescending as fuck and also might not be true. In Rob's case, he might genuinely be fine. But I suspect that if you propose to challenge or interrogate a particular thing and explore what it's made up of, and everybody gets really defensive about that, maybe that's all the more reason that it needs exploring. So it's not just hostility from people who don't think that the festival or just exploring masculinity is going to help the feminist cause. It's also opposition from people who think that masculinity is fine, potentially because they currently benefit from ancient hierarchical position as men. So this is a poem about that defensive, leave me alone, I'm fine, whether or not you are fine kind of mentality. The only other thing you need to know is that a really lovely anecdote was doing the rounds during the festival weekend about Roger Moore, who was one of the speakers at the festival, talking about when he was filming Bond, he would regularly have to retake the scenes in which he fired his gun, because every time it went off he would blink because he was scared of the noise that it made, which I think is wonderful and the total antithesis of everything we think of when we think of Bond, who's this unflinching archetypal hero who just goes around having sex with things and killing things, and that's something that happens to the people that he interacts with. He's a total aggressor in every sense, really, and actually, Roger was a bit scared. So I think that's sort of lovely and kind of important. So this is called Man Shed.
PAW. Poem a week.
There's a shed at the bottom of the garden, and they're all in there. Blinking Bond is in there, earmuffs on, honing his blasé destruction, practicing utter indifference, quieting the child of himself. It's a sneeze, I keep sneezing, he tells his shed mates, then runs to the corner, his trailer, to weep. Strongest he looks all week. Evil Knievel is in there, unscrewing his stabilizers, brewing a 5-mile stare. Each night in his dreams he falls from her arms, screams "Mother!" then punches a car. Clarkson and Hammond and May are in there, sniggering like cartoon schoolboys, fixing a thing, then breaking a thing, setting the bar, tinkering, getting away with it. Chris Evans is in there. Tired, but fine. Welder's goggles, cauterized pride. It doesn't say much. And Rob from Oldham is there. calling a helpline, telling the helpline to fuck off, disputing the need for the helpline, insisting it's mist on the windows. And I am there, drawing this poem in the drops, in reverse, spelling occasionally shot, hoping that someone will notice, hoping the door to the shed does unlock.